In today's show, legal battles over troop movements, a surprisingly calm hurricane season, and a look back at 4 decades of government shutdowns. Plus, a judge's beachfront home goes up in flames, why Istanbul is now the world's hair transplant capital, and how walking could be the simplest way to boost both your body and your brain. And here's the trivia question. What type of animal is a papillon? It's Tuesday, October 7th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello and welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. Before we get to the headlines, did you see the supermoon last night? I've always been fascinated by the beauty of the moon, so for me, last night was breathtaking. What can I say? Everyone has their thing, and I like the moon. And my name, Ayla, by the way, means light around the moon. Anyways, let's have a great day today and take off with today's biggest headlines. Let's start with national politics. Illinois and Oregon are suing the Trump administration over what they call unauthorized National Guard deployments to their states. In Oregon, a federal judge blocked the president's activation of 200 state Guard troops, then issued a second ruling stopping what the White House tried next, sending troops from Texas and California instead. President Trump said Monday he's considering invoking the Insurrection Act to deploy federal troops to Portland, calling ongoing protests there a form of criminal insurrection. The Insurrection Act allows a president to use military forces in extreme domestic cases like insurrection or obstruction of law. At the same time, Illinois filed its own lawsuit saying the deployment to Chicago has no legal basis and is tied to what they call limited protest activity near a suburban ICE facility. Meanwhile, in weather news, it's been a quiet year on the hurricane front, knock on wood. As of early October, no hurricanes have made landfall in the U.S. in 2025, something we haven't seen since 2015. Several major storms, including Humberto, Gabrielle, and Imelda, formed in the Atlantic, but all curved away from the U.S. shores. Florida, often the bullseye for hurricanes, has stayed untouched so far, though it took major hits in both 2023 and 2024. Forecasters warn the season isn't over yet, though. La Niña conditions in warm Gulf waters could still trigger late-season storms from the Western Caribbean. And finally, a quick look at some historical context. The U.S. entered its 15th federal government shutdown on October 1st after lawmakers once again failed to reach a funding deal. Since 1981, when it was clarified that federal agencies must stop work during funding gaps, shutdowns have totaled 97 days across 15 events. Ronald Reagan presided over 8, mostly lasting just a day or two. Bill Clinton had 2, including a 21-day stretch back in 1995. Barack Obama had 1 for 16 days. And President Trump has had 3, including the longest in U.S. history, 35 days in 2018, plus the current one, now nearing its second week. Here are your top political headlines. Starting in the courts, the Supreme Court has declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal, leaving her sex trafficking convictions in place. Maxwell was convicted for hiring underage girls to engage in sex with the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. And Monday's decision means her sentence will stand. The court offered no comment in rejecting the appeal. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, House Speaker Mike Johnson rejected Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' request for a televised debate as the government shutdown enters its second week. Some Democrats have called Jeffries' proposal a Hail Mary attempt to shift momentum in the ongoing budget stalemate, which still shows no signs of resolution. In trade news, President Trump announced a new 25% tariff on all medium and heavy-duty trucks imported into the U.S., starting November 1st. The move both delays and expands an earlier tariff plan he introduced in late September, signaling an effort to strengthen U.S. manufacturing while raising pressure on foreign automakers. An overseas French Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, has resigned after less than a month in office. The abrupt departure deepens France's ongoing political crisis, leaving President Emmanuel Macron with few options for forming a stable government moving forward. Here are some podcast extra stories that you won't find in the email edition. A massive fire destroyed a beach home of South Carolina Circuit Court Judge Diana Goodstein and her husband, former state Senator Arnold Goodstein. 3 people were injured in the blaze, including Arnold, who reportedly jumped from the first floor to escape and suffered multiple broken bones. Neighbors and first responders used kayaks to reach the victims, who were trapped in a marshy area behind the burning home. Judge Goodstein, 69, was walking her dogs on the beach when the fire broke out. The state law enforcement division is investigating the cause, which remains unknown. The rise of Turkish hairlines has turned Istanbul into a global hub for hair restoration, with over 1 million people traveling to Turkey for medical tourism last year. In a study, 12 partners shared what it's like supporting someone through the process, from the swollen alien recovery phase to the moment new confidence starts to grow in. Many described the healing as messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes disgusting, but most agreed the results were worth it, both physically and emotionally. Several noted how much cheaper and streamlined the Turkish clinics were compared to U.S. options, with full-service packages for a fraction of the price. And walking might seem simple, but experts say it does far more for the body and mind than just stretching your legs. According to GQ, walking engages nearly every single muscle group. It boosts metabolism and can even increase creativity. One Stanford study found it sparks an 81% rise in creative thinking compared to sitting. While walking alone won't build large muscles, it does help preserve them and supports fat burning, especially at brisk or uphill paces. Adding resistance, like wearing a weighted vest, a practice known as rucking, can further enhance strength and calorie burn. Still to come, President Trump is back on TikTok. Plus, a professional golfer comes face to face with an alligator on a golf course. More on that coming up. And thanks to Cozy Earth, Cozy Earth's whole mission is to transform your 5 to 9 into the most comfortable part of your day. And let me tell you, they've absolutely nailed it. At my house, bedtime can be a circus with 2 little boys, but once the house quiets down, sliding into Cozy Earth's viscose from bamboo sheets has become, honestly, the best part of my night. They're so comfortable and they're temperature regulating and they're so soft and it's like staying in a 5-star hotel bed, but in your own home. And if you want to up your comfort game beyond the bedroom, their bubble cuddle blanket is incredible. It's got this plush textured design that makes it just as stylish as it is cozy. And the best part, you can try Cozy Earth risk-free. They give you 100 nights to see if you love them, plus a 10-year warranty. So here's the deal. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code FLYOVER for up to 20% off. And if you see a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the Flyover podcast. Because home isn't just where you live, it's how you feel. Let's go home with Cozy Earth. In finance, first up, Steak 'n Shake is going big on patriotism. The burger chain announced it's installing massive American flags at its restaurants across the country, saying on X that it, quote, proudly supports American values and traditions. The company says the new displays are part of a national branding push meant to celebrate its American heritage. Meanwhile, Rite Aid is officially closing its remaining 89 stores after filing for bankruptcy again in May, its second bankruptcy in less than 2 years. The drugstore chain sold most of its pharmacy operations earlier this year to competitors including CVS, Walgreens, Albertsons, and Kroger as part of its restructuring plan. And finally, Bruce Buffer, the longtime voice of the UFC, has a new gig. The 30-year veteran ring announcer has signed with Bud Light as a brand spokesperson. He'll appear in ads and events tied to the UFC sponsorship, adding his signature, "It's time" energy to the campaign. Here's how the stocks did yesterday. The Nasdaq rose 0.71%, S&P 500 gained 0.36%, while the Dow Jones slipped 0.14%. In commodities and crypto, Bitcoin climbed 1.28% and gold jumped 2.67%. The standout mover of the day was Advanced Micro Devices, which surged almost 24% after announcing that OpenAI may take up to a 10% stake in the company, a deal that could reshape the AI chip market. In sports, the AP poll got shaken up again. Miami jumped to number 2 after a tight 28-22 win over Florida State, while Texas, once ranked number 9, fell out of the poll altogether after losing to unranked Florida. Then in Seattle, Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez delivered back-to-back clutch hits in the 8th inning to give the Mariners their first home playoff win in 24 years. Next up in the WNBA Finals, Las Vegas Aces guard Jackie Young set a new record, pouring in 21 points in the third quarter against Phoenix as Vegas now leads the series 2-0. And finally, in golf this weekend, an alligator gave a quick stare to golfer Vince Whaley when he stood in a pond to punch his ball out of the mud. Whaley got the shot up on the hill and then got out of Dodge fast. You can check the moment out in today's show notes. But for me, I would just let the ball go. I'm not going in there with an alligator. No, thank you. In science and tech, the Nobel Prize in Medicine has been awarded to 3 scientists, Mary E. Brunkow and Fred Ramsdell from the U.S., and Shimon Sakaguchi from Japan, for a groundbreaking discovery that could pave the way for new treatments for cancer and autoimmune diseases. Their work focuses on how the body's immune system regulates itself, a finding that's already influencing cutting-edge medical research. Next, a new study has revealed that Sir Ernest Shackleton's famous ship, the Endurance, had major structural weaknesses and was never actually built to survive the harsh Antarctic ice that crushed it back in 1915. Researchers say the wood used in the hull was too thin and flexible, making it highly vulnerable to pressure from the surrounding sea ice. And finally, aerospace company Auto Aviation, based in Texas, is developing a private jet with no cabin windows. Okay? Make that make sense. Instead, it'll use high-definition screens that display real-time exterior views, a design that could reduce drag and fuel use by up to 60%. The company says it's part of a larger push toward lighter, more energy-efficient aircraft. Don't go anywhere because we do have a poll question about this right after some additional headlines in the Etc. section. Here are some additional stories to leave you with today. President Trump is officially on TikTok again. In his first post since the 2024 election, he told young users, quote, "To all young people of TikTok, I saved TikTok, so you owe me big. Someday one of you is going to be sitting right at this desk," referring to his decision to save the short-form video platform from being banned. The post quickly racked up millions of views within hours, and you can watch the video in the show notes below. Meanwhile, in New York, one of the city's most recognizable landmarks, the Flatiron Building, is getting a massive makeover. It's being transformed into 38 ultra-luxury condos with prices starting around $11 million and topping out at $50 million for the penthouse. Developers say the redesign will keep the building's historic charm while adding modern touches and amenities. Over in Thailand, locals are celebrating the start of harvest season with the annual Water Buffalo Festival. The event includes colorful races and pageants honoring the animals that play a crucial role in Thai farming traditions. In the world of art and collectibles, a jewel-studded Fabergé egg once gifted by a Russian czar is expected to fetch more than $27 million at auction this December, potentially setting a new world record for one of these ornate treasures. And if you're looking for an escape, Airbnb just spotlighted 11 of the most remote and scenic rentals on Earth. The list includes a cliffside pod in Peru, reachable only by zip line, a luxury container home near Capitol Reef in Utah, and a minimalist dome on Iceland's black sand coast, perfect for travelers craving a truly off-the-grid experience. Check out the full Airbnb list in today's show notes. Here's the results of yesterday's poll question. Will you get an advent calendar this year? 66% said no. 19% said yes, and 15% said I will gift it. Thank you so much to everyone who voted. I'm genuinely surprised that the majority of you just said no to it. Here's today's poll question. Would you fly in an airplane with no windows? Yes, no, or I don't fly, period. I'm going to say no on that one. Seems a little too out of my comfort zone. But you can vote in the show notes, and I will read the answers in tomorrow's show. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe a lot of you are daring. You made it to the trivia. So what kind of animal is a papillon? A papillon is a tiny dog measuring 8 to 11 inches at the shoulder and weighing 5 to 10 pounds. You can spot one of these cute little doggies a block away thanks to the large, wing-shaped ears that give the breed its name. Papillon is French for butterfly. I know I taught you something new again today. And that is it for today's Flyover podcast. Thank you so much for watching and sharing and supporting the show. I will be back tomorrow with more headlines. Until then, thanks for flying with us.